This video is the video explaining the sinking or floating prediction lab. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit for you guys. You have two options. Your first option is to complete the lab that's already done up here for you, or you can take the inquiry path. And what the inquiry path means is that you have to write your own lab explaining how you would find out if an object would sink or float. And it's all about making those predictions. So I'm not going to give you a whole lot to go off of other than you need to make sure that it kind of follows the lab reports that we've done in the past. So you can look at some of the old lab reports, but you need to have objectives, question, hypothesis, materials, procedure, data table, and a conclusion if you are going to make up your own lab. So if you want to take on that challenge and try to do that, that is fine. You can notice that this lab was actually created by Jacob Dieter. So we went over it. It's an awesome lab. You can challenge yourself to create your own lab, or if you are running short on time because you're a little bit behind on the last to-do steps, feel free. You are allowed to just do this lab as well. So if you're going to go inquiry path and create your own lab, you can go ahead and stop watching the video right now, and I would like you just to go over and create a new document in your science folder and start writing your lab. If you are going to complete Jacob's lab, then you need to follow along. So I'm going to kind of talk you through it. So you can see that the question is, does finding the density of an object help you find out if it floats? And he already wrote a hypothesis for you. He said if you calculate the density of an object, then you will be able to tell if it will float. The materials that you're going to be using, you're going to be using density blocks 1 through 8. You won't use all of them. I've taken some of them out just to help save some time. Triple beam balance, a ruler, and a beaker. So the first thing that you have to do is you actually have to find the density of all the blocks. Now, you guys have already calculated the densities for 3 of the blocks, so you can go back to your old labs and look up that information and just put it into the table. That will save you some time, and then you can get the other blocks that you need. Notice I'm not having you do block number 4, so we're doing block number 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, and then down here is block number 8. Once you have determined the density and you need to be showing your work on a separate sheet of paper, then you have to predict whether you think the block will float or sink in water. And then you're going to fill a plastic beaker halfway filled with water, and then you're actually going to test your predictions by carefully dropping each beaker in, or each block into the beaker. And I can't emphasize enough, carefully do it, because some of them will hit the bottom pretty hard. And then you just need to write in the true answers whether or not it sank or float. And then down in your conclusion, just like all of the conclusions that we've been working with, it follows the same exact procedure there. Your intro, I want you answering a few questions and making sure here, was the hypothesis correct? If yes, was it supported by the data? I want you using actual data from the data table to support your answer. So we're going to be talking about the densities of all of the blocks, and then how that, if it floated or if it didn't float. And then the big question here was, what was the relationship between the densities and whether it would float or not? And then just your closing. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If not, you can go ahead and get started with your lab.